The playoffs have brought us some incredible Valorant. Some 3-0 sweeps that were close, some upsets that came out of nowhere, and some teams that finally started to live up to their potential. Since we have Masters Tokyo coming up, let me get you up to speed with every team, and at the end I'll give you my predictions of which team from each region has a chance to win Masters Tokyo. T1 is a very well-rounded team. If you look at their statistics on VLR, no one is going into hero mode too much. They are a cohesive unit. Their success mostly comes from working together. And while Saya player and Ban seem to be the backbone of this team, while playing entry and getting some great kills on eco rounds, the rest of the team rides the momentum that these players generate and are able to win rounds. In playoffs, they had a strong victory against Genji on Fracture, a close map on Ascent, and a decisive win on Lotus, winning 7 out of the last 8 rounds. They dominated Zeta Division in the first half of Haven, but did allow them to come back, only to close it out in the last couple of rounds. On Bind, they had a close match with Zeta, sending them to OT and then closing it out on the third map. Their rematch against Genji was a little less lopsided than the first encounter, but T1 managed to turn it around after having a really rough start. On Ascent, it was a close match, but T1 won the match 2-0. And while they lost to DRX in the lower finals in a close 2-3, this team shows that they could still keep up with the best in their region. Not again. Are you serious? This is a tale as old as time. DRX start the season being dominant, they run through every other team, they're the best in their region, but as soon as they're about to achieve glory, they drop the ball to a team riding momentum. It's happened at every Masters and Champions event, and it's happened here. DRX added Foxy9 as a substitute for Zest, thinking that this was going to solve their issues. He served as their main duelist in several maps, including at the beginning of playoffs. It had been working well for them. However, their first game against Team Secret might have been one of the dumbest games I've ever watched. All Team Secret did was run it straight down A, and DRX kept losing. Eventually, DRX managed to close out the game in dominant fashion on Split and on Bind, and they dropped more rounds on Haven than Split and Bind together. In the upper finals against PaperRex, they lost both of their maps and were sent to the lower finals. However, they managed to make a comeback and beat Telecom 1. After 2 maps in the grand finals, it felt like we were finally gonna witness the sweep of DRX. But their performance on Lotus was so atrocious that it gave all the momentum to PaperRex and initiated their comeback. It was an ugly situation for DRX. There is a very clear problem with choking in DRX when it matters the most. They have tried to go the route that PaperRex has with substitutions, but I don't think that that's the problem here. Everyone's performance was awful at grand finals. Something needs to change for them, and quick, as no one in Tokyo is going to be an easy match. PaperRex is like all of your younger siblings and cousins got together to play in Premiere. When you and your friends play in Premiere, it's all meta compositions and meta execs. But when the siblings play, they just play whatever they feel like playing and still win. That is what watching a PaperRex match feels like. It's some really bizarre team compositions that make no sense compared to what everyone else in the meta is playing, like double controller or double duelist. This team is unpredictable, and that's what makes them great. Something has been a great player for this organization. He showed up, he fits in like a glove in this roster and is quite flexible in the characters he plays. Playing Reyna and Phoenix in grand finals might be one of the craziest composition additions that I have ever seen. But this is PaperRex energy, and they want Pacific the way they want it to, and that is admirable. Unfortunately, the team you saw at playoffs or in your past experiences at international events is not the same team that you're going to see at Tokyo. Benkai was declared officially benched by the organization, and Something is having troubles getting into Japan due to visa issues. Cigars is the current replacement for both Benkai and Something, so they might be a completely different team going into Tokyo. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is for you to decide. Navi looked terrible in playoffs. They managed to get the job done against some lesser teams, but blew leads against some contending teams. Against Liquid, they had them on the ropes 8-4 on both maps, but managed to find a way to lose both of the maps. They were sent to the lower bracket and beat Giants to qualify for Tokyo, but then proceeded to put CNET on Yoru for their match against Foot, causing CNET to have a terrible performance. Navi has had this weird narrative surrounding them, that they are using matches that do not matter as a way to scrim against high-level competition. But you would think that going further in regional tournaments is also important because there's real money on the line. This theory is backed by the idea that they were able to beat Giants 2-0 in the lower bracket, but when faced against Foot, who is considered lower competition, they managed to lose those games as well. But maybe, to Navi the organization, it doesn't matter as long as they keep winning in international stages. At the end of the day, for me it's hard to analyze this team because their performance is so unpredictable in recent times. I just hope that we get top tier Navi showing up at Tokyo. Foot Esports isn't looking half bad. While I don't think they're quite close to the level of Fnatic or Team Liquid, they have shown some significant improvement, especially from their run at Lock-In. They dominated Giants, knocked the map off of Fnatic, then got stopped the next two, had a very competitive game against Vitality, and then beat Navi 2-0, really good. And they made it to lower finals, unfortunately to be stomped by Team Liquid, which were on an incredible run. So definitely a shaky tournament. God's gift to the world, according to Emea fans. And what a run they had, going completely undefeated the entire regular season all the way to Grand Finals, just to fall flat on their faces against Team Liquid. Did they show everything during the regular season? Did they get overconfident? No, they just really underperformed. Really, the worst time to have a bad game was at Grand Final. But there isn't any one glaring problem here. The team just fell apart on Haven, only winning 6 rounds. Durka wasn't clicking the entire match, and Chronicle had an abysmal Haven and Ascent. Additionally, Team Liquid were on a momentum high and had experience dealing with Fnatic earlier in the tournament. So part of it is Fnatic underperforming and Team Liquid overperforming. I expect this team to return to top shape when Tokyo starts and bring some insane new strats. Thanks to their win at Lock-In, they still get the bye because of EMEA having 4 spots. So it's not all bad. Does anyone remember that epic roster reveal at the beginning of the year for Team Liquid? That roster seems stacked. Expectations were high, and at Lock-In, they didn't live up to those expectations. At the beginning of the season, they weren't playing well either. I even remember Carmine Core versus Team Liquid being dubbed the Toilet Bowl. But they managed to turn their season around and qualify for playoffs. And after playoffs, this team is living up to their potential. Heck, they even won the whole tournament. Safe as their main duelist has aged like fine wine. He got better and better as the season went on. And the only time his KD dropped under 1 during this tournament was during his match against Fnatic. But other than that, he has been constantly fragging for this team. Nats and Yampy has started to be in sync with the rest of the team as well, and the only thing that they could improve on is Redguard's performance. This team has the potential to have a deep run at Tokyo. Let's see if they do it. What did I say in my previous video? Cinderella stories do exist. Let's see what happens. But to be honest, I didn't think it would happen. I'm extending an apology to Demon1 for calling him just okay, and I'm filling out the provided form on EG's Twitter for doubting Potter. Demon1 stepped up big time for this roster. He is one of the main reasons why NRG and Cloud9 were knocked to the losers bracket. 2 teams people were predicting would make it all the way. In any competitive scene, the team that you must fear the most is the team that's playing like they have nothing to lose. And that was the situation with EG. They qualified for Tokyo and Champions, and I'm honestly very happy for them. although Demon 1 looked incredibly sad after he realized that he would not be going to Masters Tokyo due to visa related issues. And it sucks seeing him so down on himself. If you are in any way, shape, or form competing in the pro scene or about to crack into it, get your passport. Now EG, don't fumble the ball. Don't let go of Demon 1 before champs. The man's already tweeting about not being on the roster. Man, I'm not sure where to start with this team. NRG had me scared during the first game against EG. When Artis went on an interview and said we threw, my goodness they weren't kidding. They played incredibly subpar against EG in their first match. The Fury game went exactly as I thought it would, a 2-0 score, 13-9 on Bind and 13-11 on Haven. Against Cloud9 they had a hard fought battle but managed to win in overtime. The rematch against EG started off close, but progressively got worse and worse for EG. The Twitter beef did keep it kinda interesting though, but that's outside of the game. Loud was nothing like I was expecting. I felt NRG could never really grasp what Loud was doing. Every time NRG tried to counter what Loud was doing, Loud would come up with a new strategy to maintain that lead. It wasn't pretty for NRG. El título de El Clásico did not fit this rivalry at this moment. It seems like NRG is constantly trying to catch up to Loud, but fails to do it when it matters the most. Now do you believe me when I say that I thought Loud was trolling? FNS later expressed a massive disagreement about the tournament format in a tweet. And I have to agree, having less than 24 hours to prepare for another team seems harsh. My goodness, Chet was falling asleep on stream. While this is just my opinion, I do believe that teams should have larger gaps to prepare for their next game. I do fear that NRG will do an optic strat at Tokyo and lose to Navi in their first match just to go on an insane run for the rest of the tournament. The good thing is that we do get to see them play more if this happens. And like I've said before, I'm sure we will get El Clásico at Tokyo at some point. I just hope it's more competitive this time. Égua, é o que eu vou falar da Loud que não diz antes. Esses moleques são muito craque. I feel like Loud was the only team that actually won their playoff bracket out of the teams who were projected to win theirs. And they did. Loud didn't seem to be in danger of elimination at any point during playoffs. Against Furia, Loud ran them over 2-0, 13-4 on Haven and 13-5 on Ascent, making Furia still the awkward child out of the Brazilian teams. EG actually put up a fight against Loud, which is insane. They even managed to beat Loud on Ascent, a feat only achieved by Fnatic and Optic in the past. However, Loud still won. In typical Valorant fashion, we ended up getting El Clásico. These games were far more competitive than the 3-0 line suggests. But we also have to remember that Loud was fresh. They only had played 2 games, while NRG had to go through a grueling 4 games, one which was a best of 5. Loud earned the luxury of being fresh due to their impressive 9-1 record in the regular season. So at the end of the day, congratulations to Loud for winning another regional title and earning the privilege to skip the group stage at Tokyo and Champions. Attacking Soul Esports and Edward Gaming are the final 2 teams that will be joining Masters Tokyo, and this is based on their performance at FCG Valorant Invitational, a Chinese-only tournament. Their performances are hard to judge since the Chinese circuit is so isolated from the rest of the world, and the Chinese scene can only scrim against each other. All I can go by is based on the performances from EDG at Lock-In. If one of these teams plays like EDG played against 100 Thieves, there could be some upsets in the making. I think Masters Tokyo will be a great event. While Lock-In was an exciting event since all the teams are new, I do think the quality of play at Tokyo will be much higher than at Lock-In, as all the teams had to earn their spot. And I think the Japanese crowd will be really cool. Here are my predictions for the group stage. As for who I think could win the whole thing, for the America side, I believe NRG could win it. For EMEA, I think Fnatic could make a dominating return. And for Pacific, I believe PaperRex will ride the momentum into a very likely chance of winning it. And for China, I think it would be a victory in of itself if one of the teams got out of group stage. Huge thank you to all the new subscribers and all the support from the previous video. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to like, subscribe, and until next time, have a good day.